Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Hey, happy Friday. I know I bop every time.
Yes.
Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I just want to welcome you to the show. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all all right? All
Hello,
right.
Hey.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so excited to end the week really with today's show. I think it's another day for us to talk about entrepreneurship and our people and the community. And let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so today we are talking about something that affects us all: taking control of our money, building wealth, and securing our legacies. We often hear about successful individuals like Ryan Coogler, who made a deal with Warner Brothers that not only guaranteed him financial security, but also gave him ownership of his intellectual property. But this isn't just about Hollywood, y'all. It's about how Black people can take control of our fields, whether it's business, entertainment, or anything in between. We'll discuss how to protect your wealth, why ownership is crucial to long-term financial freedom, and how you can start negotiating better deals, not just for your work, but for your family's future. Let's get into this important conversation. Listen, I can't have this conversation by myself. I need my queen. So let me introduce you to the queens that are with me today. Right next to me, I have one of my favorite television and film producers, Marlo Layson. I also have our financial expert and also insurance queen, Yolanda Spivey. Actually, she's insurance broker to the stars is what yeah. And then I have, of course, my sister-in-law, which I absolutely love that tag phrase, entrepreneur, sister-in-law, really like a genius for real, Nicole Compton Shelton. Right? So let's have a conversation, ladies. First of all, has anyone seen any of Ryan Coogler's shows sorry, any of his films, and did you love them? Yay or nay? Let me know.
Yay.
Yay.
He gets
Yes.
yay
Yay.
from me.
10 fingers and 5 stars.
It's a
Yes.
yay. Yay.
Same here.
What is your favorite Ryan Coogler movie? I'm
That's a
gonna say
tough.
Black Panther for me.
Mine is
Panther for the whole
probably
thing.
Black Panther, but I love Fruitvale Station, but it makes me cry, so I can't
But
watch
there,
it that often. But it's so well done and it's so
Yes.
tense and emotional. It's a great move out the gate. If you're going out the gate, go out the gate like Ryan Coogler with Fruitvale Station.
That's right. Yolanda, favorite?
I have to say Sinners because um, it's just right up my alley. It is
No,
right up my alley.
well, no
It,
spoilers because I haven't been able to see it.
okay,
So
I won't tell you, but it just
okay,
spoke to
okay.
me. It spoke to
Okay.
me.
Y'all, this isn't really just about Ryan Coogler, right? It's not about just that. What inspired me to really kind of dive into this conversation was the fact that I feel like just from his deal that he was able to secure with Warner Brothers, everybody is making it seem like, wow, whoa, he's able to actually have ownership of something he's created. They don't let Black people do that. The sky is falling. I don't know. I would see messages about like how now executives are scared of us being able to negotiate here in Hollywood and actually have ownership. So let's start out with the video. Let's start there, and we'll get into this conversation.
And I know you have to go, but reading from The Guardian, you're widely considered the highest grossing black director in history. Your film Black Panther became the highest grossing film of all time, directed by an African-American director, grossing over $1.3 billion.
A lot of my business success has been put in the context of me being black. I think that's a part of it. The issue when people write about, what my films have done, I'll say this: the year Panther 1 came out, yes, it was the highest grossing film ever made by a black person. It was also the highest grossing film domestically that year made by anybody. And for some reason that was never talked about. And for me, what I'll speak to, and after coming off of this movie and researching Delta Blues music, this music made by people who the state was built to make it so that they had nothing, to make it so that they had to be sharecroppers. You know what I mean? To make it so that they couldn't leave, to make it so that some of these plantations were so massive that they had their own currency and their own banking systems that they would pay them with. They were able to make art that changed the world. That art became rock and roll. That art became the country music empire. That art became hip hop. That art became house music. Like the fact that their stories were so amazing and so valuable, even though they were being told that they were worthless. You know what I mean? Even though they were told that they didn't deserve anything. That has stuck with me.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But you know what, y'all? I think that has stuck with us. What he said is exactly why we're having this conversation. Out of that, being oppressed and being, we have been innovators, creating things. And then those people that actually have the success or the money or the ownership take it and they keep it for themselves and say, like, here, we'll keep you as the talent, as the people at the bottom, but we're the ones that's gonna control everything else. Marlo, what do you think about that?
Well, it's true. It's the you should be happy to be here mentality, right? We should be happy to even be invited into the space. So there should be no conversation about ownership because you're here, right? There's also the one, right? Ryan Coogler is the one, and they always want to make you feel like there's only space for the one. So I think it's so artful and it's so telling of who he is as a person that he's able to tie the conversation around his personal success to our collective history and how that narrative has always been controlled by the investor, right? The artist doesn't get to tell the story. It's always the investor. So I love to see that Ryan Coogler is sitting in right now. And I love how eloquently he is explaining something that we shouldn't be talking about. We should be talking about highest grossing of any, right? Like he said, but we always got a piece and parse black. The media always has to insert black. So we always gonna be here, I think.
That's all she kept saying was the black filmmaker and the blackity black and black and the black and black. And then it's so funny because people turn around and say, why does everything have to be about race? But we see it blatantly here. Nicole, I see you shaking your head. Sis.
No, you saw me turn around and get my book. That's what you saw. And then I had to get my gavel because I got to call it like it is. We're going to call it like it is.
Tell her how it is.
The problem that bothers me is they do want to only be one. When I went to law school, there were over 12,000 applications, and y'all can only find one black female for the entering class. That's wow. BS. Because from the times of Africa, we were the inventors, the creators, the innovators, and they constantly would take our ideas and use it for themselves. All the patents that got filed, but they were black people who were doing it, and they were taking it. So my issue with it is this. It does need to be said that it's a black thing, that it's an accomplishment. The reason I wrote my line of books, Real Queens Like Me, was to let little black girls know that there were so many black women before you who did great things that didn't get the credit. So for my little black boys and girls, I do want them to say that he is the one and he's black. But on the other side of it, race shouldn't even matter because it should be way more of us in that position to where it's the norm. And it's not like, oh my God, we got a token or we got a trendsetter, a trailblazer for doing this. Come on. So I'm in between, but I had you
Yeah, I
opened
want that. Yeah, keep that gavel in hand. You got to call it when there's not disorder. When there's disarray, you got to call it. Look, Yolanda, what do you think about this? I mean, the idea of the token one black person that in Hollywood, I don't know if anybody they'll allow. I'm not sure if they'll allow anybody else to do what Ryan Coogler is doing. Again, at least for at least a good 10 years, right? So what do you think of this?
I actually don't agree with that.
Tell me.
I think, first of all, I just want to say something that's on my mind. Black people been sharecropping their art to white Hollywood forever.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been given our ideas. Sometimes we even fund our projects and we get nothing back from it. We don't have ownership in it or anything.
Yeah.
When I think about Spike Lee and what's his name, Tyler Perry, in some instances, sometimes they funded their own projects, but do they really have ownership of their projects?
Oh yeah, they do. Tyler and Spike Lee both.
Spike has ownership of his projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Williams, I'm gonna throw
Which
him
is why
in
he
there
has
too.
trouble with distribution, because Spike owns it first, right?
Yeah.
Ryan's deal is a little bit different, but Spike owns his stuff typically first. So that's why he gets a hard time, because he I'll do it on my own.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say I think that more will come is because of the time period that we're in. We see these little black kids out here creating their own art, putting it on YouTube, making a lot of money. Okay. So they're saying if Hollywood is not going to cut the deal for us, we'll cut the deal ourselves. We will go out there, we will do what we have to do, and we'll make money in other ways. So
the righteous take it back.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So Hollywood have to meet them here. They have to meet them, and they have to negotiate the deals that they want. So I see other deals coming down the pike.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not scared. We're not scared, T. We're not scared.
No, I definitely don't think we're scared. I just think that people are seeing that, I was looking over my notes from An Empire of Their Own by Neil Gabler, which is basically a story. It's a book that explains how the Jews invented Hollywood. And it's such a great read, and it's so inspiring because at that time, Jews were looked at America hated Jews. To be honest, they hated blacks and they hated Jews. And what the Jewish people did was they took these silent films at the time and they put an image to it. They put an image that they would consistently feed the public. And initially, everyone hated it. They hated these Jewish films that showed Jewish people in America living an American dream. They kind of assimilated into the culture. They hated that. And so, but now if you think about it, 100 years later, you can't think of a Jewish person without thinking about success, without thinking about a certain kind of, and so that's why I was inspired by that. I feel like it made me think about the things that we're creating. And I hope what you're saying is true, Yolanda, that I hope we're making the right things. I hope that we're taking that formula and putting good things instead of us kind of perpetuating the same kind of a narrative about us that has been given to us, and then we give it back, if that makes sense. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's go to break, and we'll be right back. Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com. every time I'm hosting the show and then we go to commercial and it's me, it makes me think of when Suge Knight was like, if you want a producer that is rapping all in the videos and all on the, that's me.
Come
Like,
to
I
Death
feel
Row.
like I'm just all over the place. I'm that producer. You know, Marlo, it makes me think about, what Yolanda said was so powerful, right? And I agree with you. I just don't know if it'll come through Hollywood. I love what you said about it being on YouTube and us just finding all of these different spaces to exist in and own our own content. Here's the question, right? I sold a screenplay to Universal, and it when I they own at this they optioned my screenplay twice, right? Which means they have ownership over it, and I can't really do anything with it unless they own my shit, right? But without that, when I walk into a room and I say, well, this is what I've done, and actually, Mario Van Peebles was the director that was going to direct it, and here's what people are so impressed by that. But let me go in and say, like, I have created films with Dr. Boyce Watkins, and we've done, amazing things. People really just be like, yeah, 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 yeah. So how do we change, right? Like, yeah, 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 sis. How do we change that around, like that mindset that we have about, white ice being colder?
I think that I don't know, right? As a person who's made independent films, I work with you on projects with Dr. Boyce, projects that I'm really proud of, that I think are great storytelling and great depictions of Black people. But I think that are Black people interested, right? When I think about how 50 Cent got 17 power books of drug dealing, and I think about how it's easier to get a story greenlit if it's a hard knock life story rather than a Black version of The Notebook, it's kind of exhausting to me, right? But I also know, as a person who deals with digital metrics every day for a living, like that is the world that I'm in. Who is clicking on what? Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that y'all not clicking on positivity. I know for a fact that the negativity always draws y'all in. So it's always going to be harder for filmmakers, if the validity is Hollywood, right? So never mind, my film did, film circuits and won awards and the film festivals and all of these things that other filmmakers look at, and it's cool because we understand how hard it is to get into those spaces. But the audience does not have an appetite. So I'm indicting the audience, right? Mm-hmm. Kudos to Ryan Coogler for what he's been able to do, creating these fantasy worlds of Black Panther and bringing, Apollo Creed's son to life and the Creed films and just all of these imaginative things that he's been able to do. But for the most part, most of us Black filmmakers struggle with getting support from a Black audience, because unless you have a big Hollywood bankroll, people don't take you very seriously and people don't support the work. And that's just the hard truth.
That's real. Listen, and I'm gonna keep. That's how I met Dr. Boyce, right? I was starting a production company in 2011, and I came across an article. I was like, Deborah Lee basically said, "Listen, I hear y'all saying that Black people want positive programming, but let me tell you, no, they don't." Right? And I said, "Oh, she got us twisted. Yes, we do." Right? And so I was searching the web, came across an article of a very vocal Black man by the name of Dr. Boyce Watkins. I didn't know him at the time, but he was saying some really good things about Black people. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, can I use these things? And we've been creating things ever since. But to go off what you said, let's talk a little bit about like trauma. Nicole, a lot of the reason why we want to see ourselves in those roles, I don't know if it's art imitating life or life imitating art. I'm not sure if we're being given certain narratives and then eating off it and saying this is true Black life and giving it back. What is it? Like, why do we gravitate to? Is it because we're broken people? Why do we gravitate towards the negative? Or do we? I can't hear you. Uh-oh. Can't hear you.
We're humans, and humans seek the intriguing, the things that you don't get in your life every day. That's what you want. That's why soap operas make so much money and stay on the air for so many years. It's the stuff that you dream about, you wonder about, the taboo, the ooh, girl, that's juicy. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with that. That's human nature. The problem is if you look at statistics, the amount of the percentage of people who consume the most TV out of everybody in the world just happens to be the Black American. And that's sad because we are creators, but we watch, we take in instead of putting out. That's, for me, that's a problem. That's a problem because we can write the juicy, great stories. We have the imagination. That doesn't mean that that's what our life is or that's what we're aspiring to. It's entertainment. It's juicy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, I think, and Yolanda, I'm coming to you on this, but what's interesting is that we get to say, and this is, I'm so glad I work in Hollywood today and that we can have this conversation, but I believe that we get to see every facet. We get to see diversity in what white people are like. We get to see them as businessmen. We get to see them as junkies. We get to see them run meth labs. We get to see them in all of their glory.
And they all
My
have
issue with
redeeming
Hollywood
value.
is that we got one. You gonna be, it's one narrative. The Black woman is painted a certain way. There's trauma. If you're watching a Tyler Perry film, it's always a downtrodden woman, like, you know what I mean, in the church, and it's a lot, right? It's become so stereotypical. So my question for you, Yolanda, is like, do we need that diversity? Yes. Do you? It's like us needing that kind of diversity that we can see white people be. Like, do you agree? And how can we understand that Black people are not a monolith? Like, right, we're not the same. And how can we express those stories? Like, how do we get there where we can see Black people in all their glory? Oh, I can't hear you either.
Oh, there we go. So we know that we're not a monolith. You know what I think? Because we capitalize off of our own pain. White America capitalize off our own pain. So the more downtrodden stories that we see and feed each other, the more money they make, and also the more depressed and suppressed the community, the whole collective Black community becomes and it remains. So I just don't think that they want to see us in a positive light. And sometimes we don't even want to see ourselves in a positive light. We have so much self-hate amongst each other. It's disgusting. When we start to have that deep self-love for one another, okay, and we start to collectively put a stop to some of the stuff that is being put out, from the music to the movies, then we will see more of our stories out there, more different Black stories out there, and they will become more acceptable amongst everybody. It's almost like we need a deep self-love, Black people in America. Yeah.
I mean, because look at a movie like, what was the movie with Issa?
Wait a minute, because I want to hear all of what you got to say. I got to go to commercial because I love this. And chime in on the in the chat. I see y'all, AA. I see you, Black Lexicon. I see you. I want to know from you what is it? What will it take for us to be able to see diversity in our stories versus the same old song? All right, let's go to break and we'll figure it out when we come back. I know. You're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming Come in. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon. All right, y'all. Tomorrow it's going up. Listen, I'm doing my very first training. Usually I'm the one that's not. I'm bringing the queens in. I'm bringing the experts in. But tomorrow I am going to show you how to story sell, which is really just using your own story to wrap around a product of some sort and talk to people rather than sell to them, right? To find your tribe, but just tell your story, because we all have stories. We all have a story, and you want to make sure that you are profiting from your story, because God gave it to us all. So you can take that down. We'll talk about that later. Go to flynubianmoneyclub.com and sign up. I want to jump back into this because I know, Marlo, you had something to say. What were you going to say?
I was just going to mention Issa Rae released the movie The Photograph, right? Romantic movie. It's a romance movie. There's no violence, minimal cursing. It's just about these Black people and their connection to this photograph. Artsy fartsy, right? Well written, beautifully shot. Did not get a lot of attention. I did not hear. I mean, mind you, it was during the COVID lockdown that it was released, right? But I don't hear a lot of people talking about that film. I don't hear a lot of people referencing that film. So when I say the audience is trained to want a certain thing, they really are. I understand exactly what Nicole is saying in terms of, you know, the playing up of, you know, what story soap operas do, right? And this salaciousness but there is space for everything, right? Just like gangster raps put a chokehold on hip hop and made hip hop a monolith, right? So if you weren't talking about hoes and how much crack you sold and the police, the ops, and shooting your guns, you didn't have a space in the market. What I'm saying is that has happened to Black film, where Black film used to be very diverse. You look in the 70s, there were romance, there was Black exploitation, there were comedies. There is a smaller market share. It is by design. Yes. And the audience does react poorly to it. I mean, just think about years ago, the commentary that Spike Lee said about the Cosby Show, that it wasn't realistic. Even though this is a man who was a third generation Morehouse man, who is it not realistic to? Right? He wasn't even being authentic in that time, as he was trying to peddle a narrative that he wants. Now he's walked those comments back since then, but that opened the gate, right? For all Black people want is drive-by shootings and hurt and pain and mothers crying and poor relationships. So I think we do have to be really careful about the films that we support and media that we support as well, because that's what ends up getting green light. The people sit back and watch. They watch us watch all of this stuff and they're like, well, this is what they like. This is what will feed them. The audience trains and informs the people who invest in this media.
That's right. And then let me just add to that, just as a former reality TV producer, I feel like reality TV has single-handedly ruined Black women. And what I mean by that is our what we gravitate towards, our ability for conflict resolution, what we, just kind of like who we are. Like I was talking to my friend not too long ago, and it's so funny. We were having a conversation. He was like, I'm on my way to Africa because he works for Zeus. And I said, for what? He said, Baddies Africa. I said, y'all about to have them African ladies fighting? That's what y'all about to do? And sure enough, he didn't respond to me. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, y'all, I saw these women and fighting on this continent. Right. And so I just think that there's something to be said about how we are influencing other cultures to look to us for everything. And there's something strong about Black American people, I'm gonna tell you, and Black people in general, but specifically us and what we've had to endure. What do you want to say? What do you say? Actually, what do you say? And then go straight into it, Nicole. What do you say, Yolanda?
Me or Nicole?
You were shaking your head. What you got to say?
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. I think it's crazy. And I do see, like, because I watch a lot of African television, okay? Like their movies and everything. So I do see like the baddies and the housewives of Africa and things like that. But another thing, Africans also have their own movie studios and they also tell their own stories.
That's right.
Okay? And they don't just talk about shoot 'em up, bang, bang, poverty and stuff like that. They show themselves in a beautiful light.
And support one another.
And they do support one another. They always showing that they have a lot of cheating and infidelity in their stories. But still, they show themselves like being prosperous and rich and just enjoying their lives. That's something that I think we should also be showing. I think the younger generations, because the younger generation, this is the thing. They know that the shoot 'em up, bang, bang is going to get people to watch. Okay. It's just like when you create something on social media, you know that the most grossest thing you create, people are going to click on it. All right. I think that the young people got to change their mindsets and really start creating just different stories, telling our stories from their lifestyle, their point of view. Stop being that studio gangster. You didn't live that lifestyle. Really tell your own story. We may enjoy it. We may relate to it. Let us see that. I think we have to force ourselves to tell our stories, just like the Africans did. Shoot, and create our own studios, even if it's a small little studio.
That's the thing.
Together, create our own studios and tell our stuff.
Me and Marlo have production companies. Listen,
I know y'all do.
Nicole asked in the chat, do you guys know a film, or what did she say? A Black creative writer, blah, blah, blah. They know us. They've been knowing us. They've been watching us, baby. They know.
I just was curious if they was recognizing if they can say.
Here. Actually, okay. No,
I was go ahead.
I was
a Black Lexicon was saying, you know, how many of us stop and actually read the credits? And I was like, when you know someone who's been in the credits, when you've been on TV as I have, or you know a Marlo, you know a Tierra who's in the behind the scenes doing the thing, then you stop. And out of homage and out of awe, I stay until the very last credit. Because none it matters. There's people behind that. And the thing about it is a lot of those people look like me. They look like me.
That's how I got into TV. My mom was like, you keep asking me these questions, you need to go study it. Because I wanted to know who the people were.
Well, see, one of the questions that Tiara asked at the beginning, and I wrote down because I was like, answer that one, was what will it take for us to have the diversity and it not be the same old song? Yeah. And it goes back to education and ownership. Marlo, like you said, your mom told you go find out. You was like, okay, well, let me go find out. And then once you know more, it expands your horizons. But at the end of the day, is the ownership piece of it that goes with the education. Because once you do know more, you realize this is how Hollywood is made. This is how the dollars are made. This is how the executives make the decisions.
Right.
And it's sad to say, but it's more now than ever. If they don't give you a place at the table, clear it off and make your own. If they don't give you a seat, make your own table, create it. So I said earlier with Cat Williams, I love his comedy, I always have. And Cat Williams has survived throughout the years, the ups and the downs. Why? He's not on the puppet string. It doesn't matter if you want what he's putting out. He's putting out what's true to him. He's promoting and bringing up people, putting them on his stages that he bankrolled, that he created. That's where we need to be headed with this. And that's why I like the story that we're talking about today, because it is. You got to have the education and the ownership, boo.
You know, we're gonna wait a minute. We're gonna go to a commercial. Actually, we're gonna go to the next video, and then I want to hear what you have to say. One of the things, also, let us know, Chad. There's a lot of good conversation happening. I want to know what your thoughts are on all of this. So, actually, let me read what Marvin says. He says, "It seems like what we need to do is separate. Our narrative is composed of ingredients that exist in our oppressor's cookbook." I love that comment because you're absolutely right, Marvin. Yes. I mean, but that's America in general. Everything is sprinkled from a little spice of oppression and discrimination and all of the things. So it's like, is that realistic? Let's think on that. And let's go to break, or let's watch this next video. We're not going to go to break. I'm going to watch this next video. And all
right, so I stumbled across something very interesting. Why Ryan Coogler's ownership deal for Sinners could change Hollywood. Here we go. How Hollywood typically works. When a Hollywood studio buys a film, they typically get full creative control, make their money back before any residuals or profits are paid out to the director cast and own it in perpetuity so they can continue to distribute it and make money from it years after release. And forever. That's what perpetuity means. Don't ever sign anything that fucking says perpetuity on it. How Coogler's deal works. Much like an independent artist looking for a distributor, Coogler flipped this model, retaining Final Cut, which is the creative control. He received the first God damn it, TikTok. Hold on. He received first dollar gross, which means he makes money before the studio recoups. And most importantly, will have ownership of the film reverted to him after 25 years. No more perpetuity. While some A-list directors are able to retain Final Cut, reverting ownership of a film is uncommon. According to Vulture, who broke the news, Quentin Tarantino is the most recent director to do this for his film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Why this could change Hollywood? According to Vulture, executives were freaking out about the deal because it sets a precedent, with one studio exec saying it could be the end of the studio system. While Coogler has said he sees this as a one-off deal because of Sinner's focus on themes of ownership for black artists, this is yet another important step in the quest for independence across all creative disciplines, whether you're making music or movies.
It be like that sometimes, baby, reading out loud. It's all right. That executives had him in a choke hold. You hear me?
Them executives had him choked out.
But what he is saying is so funny that they're saying like it's so funny that executives are freaking out because now we have access to these types of deals. Freaking out because we're making these types of demands. It could end the studio system as we know it. Oh no, black creatives getting their just due.
And here's the thing, right?
No.
There's an echelon of directors who could have asked for this. The reason they are freaking out, George Lucas asked for this in the 80s with Star Wars, right? Steven Spielberg retained creative control of the Indiana Jones films. This is not brand new, right? The reason that they are freaking out is because a black filmmaker had the audacity to control his own deal. And if he has the audacity to control and get his own deal, then what are all the other ancillary directors who can't say they made $100 million or $100 billion? What are they gonna do when they start to bring stories to the table that they feel attached to in the way that he feels attached to Sinners, right? So they are really worried that people are gonna see this, oh, this isn't just a Spielberg, Tarantino type of deal. This isn't just for Jerry Bruckheimer, right? These really, really big name people who make hundreds of millions of dollars every film. Anybody could do this. If a black man did it, y'all know that that's the narrative that gets told. Yeah. So that is why they are freaking out, because this is going to embolden every director to try to retain some type of ownership of their film. And they really make their money off the residuals and the perpetuity. I mean, the people get 32 cents, but they get $32,000. So
yeah, great. Nicole, I saw you shaking your head. I could see you when he said, don't sign anything that says perpetuity. I saw you like off screen like going.
Well, because the thing is,
I have a question for you. Wait. I want to ask you a question before you start just talking. When we negotiate, and I want to make this a broader conversation about how, because there's people that don't. Marlo and I work in the film and television industry, but a lot of people don't. But I think that there is a synergy in us being emboldened across all industries and asking for what we deserve, not necessarily like asking for handouts or whatever. Sometimes I think Black people are just scared to ask for what they deserve. So coming as someone who has audacity, because you do a lot of things, sis, and just being a sister-in-law, like what would you say? Like, how do we start to negotiate better for ourselves across the board?
I still stand by, it goes back to education, and when you know better, you can do better. Yolanda and I had a conversation this morning and exactly that. So we have big dreams and all of that, but a lot of times we've been shut out. We haven't had a seat at the table, so we don't even know what the possibility is. Mm-hmm. It takes someone to show us, oh, so wait a minute, that's a possibility? I can do that? And then having the boldness to be able to own that. I deserve that and I want it and I'm coming for it. I think also it's collaboration, because I get it. Eagles soar alone. That's what I said in my first book. Eagles soar alone. But guess what? There's other eagles that you can see, that you know that they're out there and they're doing it. So when we come together and you stand here and I stand here and then so-and-so stands here and we're in lock and step, now you have a force. So now it's not just you being this one off, this is what I want, what I deserve, but you got your girls, you got your bros, you got your people that are right there that are like, yeah, now that we think about it and now that we know better, this is what we want. I was laughing with the contract concept because I was like, most of us don't even read the contracts. I've done contracts for actors and for writers and for creatives that are doing music and things like that. And they're just so excited that somebody paid attention to them and gave them a chance that they don't sign. Chameleonaire back in the day, he had his and he was like, nope, I need my rights. I want ownership. I'll do the music. And so when things started to crumble, he almost outsmarted them because then he sat back and was like, I don't have to do that. Well, yes, you do, because this is what we do in the industry. Did you read that contract?
Right.
MC Hammer did the same thing.
Who?
MC Hammer. Remember? So when MC Hammer signed his deal, he was like, I'm not signing this. This is chicken scratch, and he said that he learned how to negotiate his contracts by watching, I think it's NFL players or NBA players or something like that.
So it was a baseball player. Hank Aaron had some type of relationship to him.
Right. So he learned how to negotiate. So it does boil down to education. Bottom line.
Bottom line, y'all. Okay, we're going to hit our next commercial because I know my co-producer is in the background like, listen, y'all better do what I say do. So let's hit the commercial. We'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Welcome back to Fly Nubian Money. Today we are basically talking about why it is important for Black people to not only be talented, but also have the mind for business. We are taking this conversation from Ryan Coogler, who showed us and did a big thing, did his big one, as people say, in Hollywood, where he secured a hefty deal. Was it $90 million, y'all? $90 million, rights to his ownership after rights to his film after 25 years. So let's go to some stats. I want to just kind of further this conversation through our statistics. All right. It says representation in Hollywood. In a report by the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, Black filmmakers make up just 2% of directors for the top 1,000 films, highlighting the lack of representation and ownership opportunities for Black creatives in the entertainment industry. Black entrepreneurship and wealth. A study by Kauffman Foundation shows that Black entrepreneurs are more likely to face financial instability compared to their white counterparts, making it crucial for Black business owners to seek better deals and ownership for long-term success. Financial independence in Black families. According to the Federal Reserve, 20% of Black households have a negative net worth, compared to just 13% of white households, showing the financial disparity and the need for financial independence and ownership in Black communities. Negotiation power in the workplace. A survey by the American Psychological Association found that Black professionals are often paid less than their white counterparts, with Black women earning 20% less than white men for similar work, making the ability to negotiate essential for financial success. The importance of ownership. According to the Intellectual Property Owners Association, Intellectual property rights represent 38% of the total value of the US economy, which shows the immense value that comes along with owning what we create. So I have questions. Nicole, let's come to you. Right. So let's say I think ownership is everything. Obviously, tomorrow that is one of the things that we will teach tomorrow at my story selling seminar. Basically teaching the importance of creating products and having ownership of your things. But what is the process, right, for someone, and maybe all of us can just kind of chime in, but what is one piece of advice that you would give someone who wanted to start up? Like how do you start? How do you even get patent? Like what is the process for getting trademarked? Sometimes those things can feel a little overwhelming for people.
Well, some of it you can do yourself. I'm the kind of attorney that, because I am your sister girl in the law, I'm gonna be real with you. And so attorneys are just like doctors and dentists in that if you have a baby tooth that needs to come out, your kid, you pull it out, you tie the string, you wiggle it, you get it out. But if it's a root canal or an implant, you don't do it. Same thing with law. Law is still a professional degree, like a dentist or a doctor. And so we're trained in certain things. But some things, like I said, you can educate yourself and you can do it yourself. So part of it is knowing what you know, trying to navigate the system and knowing when you need to hire someone. So if you have an idea and a product, I think even before you get to the IP part of it with trademarks and copyrights, simple contracts like non-disclosure. So when you go and you want to find someone who can collaborate, help you to get your idea out there, making sure that you have that non-disclosure, that non-compete, having that non-circumvent clause that gets them so they don't take your idea and do it without you. That's the first thing. The second thing is making sure that what you created is really yours and you didn't just take somebody else's stuff and put your name on it, but making sure that you have very succinctly figured out what part of the creative thing that you have you made and what you want to do with it. You don't have to copyright everything. You don't have to trademark everything, but those that need to be done, you really do need to make sure that you do it. And sometimes it's as easy as an application. Sometimes you do need to hire an attorney to get out there and to help you. The other thing I add, this came up last night when I was teaching in the business incubator, is understanding what a work for hire contract is not giving you the ownership. If you're under a work for hire and you're using that means whatever work you do ends up going to the person who hired you to do it. So if you made somebody a logo, you can't say, well, I own the logo because 9 times out of 10, it's a work for hire relationship.
Got it. Well, does anyone want to add anything to that before I move on to this something else? Anyone want to? All right. I love that, but I love that answer. I think that something that kind of just made me think about the idea of just creating a product, creating things instead of just sitting at home and being a consumer. I think you said earlier, Nicole, that we are, or maybe Marlo, that we are the ones that are sitting in front of the TV consuming television and not making things. And not necessarily like you need to sit at home and make television. I'm just saying, like, just sitting and using those hours. At this point, it's so crazy because I can't sit in front of a television that long without feeling like I got to go do something productive, right? I can have like my little guilty pleasures, but I can't sit for too long without maybe balancing that out. But I think a lot of us are just watching instead of like being in the game. We're sitting on the sideline. So let's watch this other video that I think will inspire you.
But I think that's also just because we as Black people, we're naturally creatives, and we tend to just put everything that has come with us in it. Like, we just, a lot of times we just create just because we love to create. And I think that's part of the reason why the power dynamic is in most industries, is that we think about just creating something dope. Other communities are trying to sell. So that's why you naturally see a lot of Black people when they create, there is always a message, just because something inspired me to make this dress. So the message has to come through, versus there are people who are just trying to create just to sell. So that's why a lot of them, they have the businesses and stuff, and we're trying to get to that point now. It's like, we can't just think like, yo, I'm going to create this. It's like, all right, I want to create this, but also build something to monetize this so that I can continue to control it. Because when they are doing the controlling, they are skewing a lot of some of the messages that we're trying to portray. But basically, like, us as Black people, we create just to create, and there tends to always just be a message, because when you're creating just to create, something has to grab you, like something has to inspire you, something has to burn like up in you to be yo,
this is a great point.
It's a great point.
This guy's on fire. Whoa. I was taken aback, like, yes, bro.
I was deep with the messages. I'm over here like, oh.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. So we tend to, it's in our DNA to create. It's in our soul's purpose to create as Black people. I'm not saying nobody else create, but don't nobody create like Black people create. There's just such a, from I think our pain and our traumas make what we can create. Most of the time, a beautiful things comes out of those things, from just being the underdog. And so what is your responses to that video? I'll start with Marlo.
No, I think they're spot on. I think that creating comes naturally. I've been writing since my mom bought me pen and paper, right? And words just naturally flow through me. I don't have to put a lot of energy into how I form words, or like when I'm scripting and things like that. It just really is an innate skill and talent that I have. And I think that people, you don't necessarily know how to monetize that, right? You think when I was a little girl, maybe writing, you become an author, but then people say, oh, such and such, J.D. Salinger wrote 63 books before he sold one. And then it's like, oh, I can't be So I think that we just don't necessarily have the path forward to create that. So a lot of times we are making it on our own, or worse than that, if you come from a village that is a village of critiquers, right? You may not even feel comfortable opening up about what you created and trying to figure out how to collaborate and work with people who are directly in your purview, who may have skills that support what you do. But because we don't always support one another, it's hard to find that collaborative space. So you end up with your white colleague, your Latino colleague, and trying to figure out a way forward, utilizing other people outside the community. And that part to me is really, really sad. I'm grateful that I found Tierra, thank you, the internet and Facebook, that we found each other. But I think it's really hard to find people that you can collaborate with within your circle, within your culture, just because of little cultural mishaps and things and survival mode and all of that stuff.
Yeah. When you're approaching, when you're talking to clients, actually, Yolanda, I'll ask you, when kind of searching for purpose, I feel like a lot of what we need to create is entangled in purpose. And I think sometimes we miss that, right? We miss that our genius or our brilliance, as Dr. Lene says all the time, the things that naturally come to us, we think that we're so good at it, we don't monetize it. We just do it. Like, girl, I just be doing hair. It's cool. Like, you can pay me $5 and that's, why do you think that we do that, or we miss that opportunity, or we don't see the things that come naturally to us as a way to operate when it really can be our $1 million asset, and we don't do that? Why do you think that we don't do that?
Because we're just such beautiful people. I hate this world sometimes because everybody put a dollar amount on every little thing. And sometimes we just want to be a part of our creativity and us giving showing our creative side is a part of us loving each other. It's a part of self-love. Let me tell you, I was and some people who know me, they know I like to make like lotions and soaps and deodorant. I make everything from scratch, right?
I still ain't got my package, but go ahead. Go off, sis.
Girl, I gotta send it to you.
You gotta. Okay, go ahead.
Let me know if you need some Marlo, because I got something for you too, girl.
Love it. Okay, lotions, go ahead.
I'm with my niece this past weekend, and we're making body scrubs, okay? And I'm teaching her how to make the body scrubs. And she's like, Auntie, why do you send this to your friends for free? And I'm like, because I love them and I want them to feel good. And it just makes me happy. She said, no, you should be charging them $14.99.
That's right.
Now, this is coming from a 9-year-old child.
That's right.
All right. In a way, yes, it is right. But then again, I just make it because it's fun to me. I love to do it. But I realize too, the world that we are living in, we do have to put a dollar on everything, because if you don't do it, somebody else will. And this is how a lot of Black people, not just Black people, all cultures, okay, Chinese, Mexicans, whatever, they get a lot of their ideas taken, because these white people, they'll go over to their countries, they'll sit and eat and go, oh, this tastes good. What you put in there? And the Mexican person or the Chinese will tell them all the recipes. And then the next thing you know, that white person is over in America recreating that same thing they got from a different country and capitalizing off of it. So that person who gave them the idea, it just did it because of love. That's their expression. That's their creative being. It's natural to them. But on the flip side, the other person on the receiving end is looking at it with dollar signs. How can I make money off of this? They're capitalizing. So
America, baby.
It's America, right? So since we are here and since we are in this space, we too, yes, we still have to have our creative side. We love that. But we also have to have that capitalistic mindset too. How can I capitalize off this? How can I make money? It's sad, but it's something that we have to learn to do. We have to adjust.
It's not sad. I don't think it's sad.
I think it's sad. Because sometimes I just want to grace in here without getting paid. Sometimes I just want to make my products without getting paid. Sometimes people call me for instance, people consult with me on how to become an insurance agent. I sit there and I will tell them, I'm not offering a class or anything, even though I can. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I just want to give that to people. But I realize some people may
be a revenue stream. Hold on, before you do that, I do want to go to this last video. I want to watch this last video, and it aligns, and then we're just going to go to final thoughts. So whatever you have to say, just rope it into your final thought, because we are at the end, okay? Let's go to this final video, and I'm going to ask you a question based on this final video, but it is exactly what we're talking about, so it's all aligned. Go ahead and roll the video.
Most important piece of advice for founders is everything inside of you is going to want to create a product, and I want you to just take a deep breath and create a solution instead. A product says, I have an idea and I'm going to do everything I can to bring it to market. A solution says, I have a group of customers I care about and I'm going to listen to them and create a solution that solves their problem. And if you are customer first instead of product first, success and money will follow.
That is amazing. I love that.
Right. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to love to do something. I actually think it's a part of your brilliance, the love that you have for doing a thing. And I'm not talking about you, Yolanda. I'm just saying in general, I think that we have a lot of gifts as people, and we think just like that. Like, I just want to give. I just want to give back. Meanwhile, not that this is Yolanda's situation, but those people are hurting, right? When they could be an income stream for them, and a way for them to make money and feed their family and really like build that generational wealth. I mean, just using lotions as an example, I buy lotion every couple weeks, right? Like not every couple weeks, but I buy lotion all the time. Right? I would rather buy it from you than Target. I don't go to Target, but Walmart or wherever I go, right? Speaking of which, it's Blackout Friday. I just wanted to say that right quick. It's Blackout Friday, so we are patronizing Black businesses today. But here's the thing, y'all. I want to get into these final thoughts, and I guess the question can be based around that. I love what Yolanda is saying, that you have to have a love for what you're doing, and sometimes you just want to give it away. But I also feel like we need to find a balance for that. I'm all about everybody else is doing it, but we're not doing it as a community. So I want those things that those things that we are good at, that we naturally can do, create a solution for somebody and get paid for it because everybody else is doing it. So let's get into these final thoughts. I mean, I guess I just want your reactions to that last video, but also if you could impart one tip or word of wisdom that people can take away on this Friday, that can give them inspiration about like moving forward in ownership. Maybe they're like confused about a thing or what to do next. So I'll start with you, Marlo. What would be your word for ownership? How do we own something?
I would say don't bite off more than you can chew, right? You know what you're capable of. The thing that I always see that is so sad in business and that we can learn from Ryan Coogler is that people are not prepared for success and growth. So whatever you have, whatever your solution is to people's problems, make sure that you can provide the viable solution to them and you don't end up doing yourself and your business harm. So many people, get into business and you get a big, fast head start and you think that it'll never stop, but then you haven't prepared yourself for that rapid growth. So be prepared. Like Ryan Coogler's success is because he was prepared. It's because he has been making great films since Fruitvale Valley or Fruitvale Station. Instead of just throwing anything out there, right? He's not making a movie every single year because he is focusing on making a great movie. So whatever it is, whatever you have, focus on making it great. Focus on best practices and you should see success. But growth is incremental. If you have fast growth, you will probably fall as fast as you grew. If you are looking to grow and if you understand that growth is a process and you want to help your website or your web presence get bigger, that's what we do at the Marlo Group. We help small businesses, whether you have a novice understanding of your back-end website or whether you created a website in 2018 and you ain't touched it since then. We can get in there. We can help you get your SEO up. You want to use AI, that's great, but AI is not your voice. And so you're going to find that using the AI tools, you may not be growing the way that you want to because AI ain't you. You are unique and your business is attached to your uniqueness.
Correct.
Lead with that.
Correct.
So themarlogroup.com. Hit us up.
I love it. Nicole, what do you say?
I go back to what I said when we started, and it all comes down to educating yourself and ownership. And so we, for decades for generations and generations and centuries as a people, have always been creative. It's okay to give away some of the things that build you up, but when it comes to how you're going to make your income and what your expertise is, you got to get paid for it if you're going to survive. That's just part of it. If you're trying to build your business or you have a business idea and you want to make sure you're legally protected and you're legally structured and that your business will be profitable, that's where your sister girl in the law comes in. My name is Nicole Shelton. You'll find me mostly under Nicole Compton. That was the name for 20 years. And I'm here to help with that. That's what I'm good at. I am good at making sure that your business is legally launched and that you're well protected, but you're also profitable and you're making the wise decisions. So let me educate you so that you can have some ownership.
I love it, Nicole. I love it, Nicole. I love it, love it, love it. Yolanda, I'm ready. What you got for me?
Okay, I have two thoughts. The first one is when you think about the money, okay, or the money that you're going to make from something, sometimes your creativity will leave, okay? It will just go away, dissipate, because all you're thinking about is the money, okay? And then your creative juices will just go away. And another thing, from Andre Hatchett. I don't know if you guys know who Andre Hatchett is, but he he always used to say, own or be owned. Okay. If you don't own it, they will own you. I've always remembered that. That's why everything that I do, I try to own it myself, all aspects of my life. Because if I don't, or if you don't, if we collectively as Black people don't, we will always be beholden to someone else. That's why it's important that we have to own our own studios so that we can tell our own stories and do things our way. We're not beholden to what other people think or how they do things, because we're special people. We do things differently. Anywho, y'all can reach me. Okay, I'm the insurance agent to the stars. Reach me at www.mwhitney.com. Please email me at life@mwhitney.com if you're interested in any type of insurance product. Even if you want to talk insurance and you have an insurance question, give me a call. We insure everything, even your pinky toe. So please give us a call. Thank you.
I'm in love with it. I love it, love it, love it. Queens, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been such a powerful conversation. And I'll just leave you with this. I think that it's important. Me moving to Hollywood has shown me so many things about ownership and being somebody's slave. Because if you don't own it, you literally end up somebody's slave. When I was 23 years old, I was working on a production. And Blair Underwood worked on our production. And I went to him and I said, how do you have longevity in this business? And he told me, you can't just be an actress and a singer. You have to learn how to direct. You have to learn how to produce. You have to learn how to write. You have to learn how to own. And I went, okay. And I ran towards all the things that, over the years, I've been accumulating all of these skills. I went and learned how to be a producer. I was a writer already because I was a journalist girl. So I already knew how to write, and I have a minor in creative writing. So I knew, but I needed to just learn the business of that. And so I just think it's important for us as we're growing to put those skills, make sure you're leveling up those skills, making sure that you're adding skills to your toolbox so that you can put this thing together. Now, today I'm not all over the place because I own a company that allows me to help people ghostwrite, that allows me to help people make movies and films and make things, whatever it is that they podcast. Here we are. Hello, where we are, right? It allows me to do all of these creative things. So I live every day of my life creative, and that keeps me inspired. So even if I don't do it for myself, I can help other people do it. And it kind of still satisfies that creative itch that I have. So I'm just telling you, something else that I've created is the Fly Nubian Money Club. And tomorrow I am going to show people how to use something that everyone has, a story, to sell one product, right? One thing. One thing. We want to wrap one story around one product. And so I think that that'll be important. So you want to come through, I'll be there. Go to flynubianmoneyclub.com and sign up. I just think that it's so important to own it and own your story and own the narrative, because it's just important, y'all. With that being said, this has been amazing. Somebody in the comments asked what a 360 deal is, and I just wanted to, because he asked twice, and I just want to let you know it's a deal between artists and a label where they literally take all money from all of the hands in your pocket, right? So a 360 deal is literally they're taking money from touring, they're taking money off of anything, any merchandising, anything
Streaming.
that you're, any streaming, any acting, anything that you're doing on television, they taking your money. You want to add anything to that, Nicole? All right, they taking your money. So don't
Say no to
360 deal,
360. Say
huh?
no to 360. Say no
Say
to
no to
perpetual.
360. Just do your thing.
Perpetuity, 360, no, no.
So anyway, let me get into this. Let me get into my little outro, y'all. So today we have talked about all of the things. Let me find it. Thank you for joining us today. As we've learned from Ryan Coogler's journey and experiences, to demand more ownership, more control, and more opportunities to thrive. Let's empower ourselves to take financial control, make smarter deals, and build the future we deserve. Until next time, you guys, stay empowered, stay informed, and stay on top of your money. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. We love you. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow. You better go sign up. FlyNubianMoneyClub.com.
Have a good weekend.